I'm in Madrid, and this is a large European capital. But things are starting to happen, and man, if there is a city in Europe where things need to happen, it is Madrid. Asphalt jungle. Another classic example of history colliding with failed transport planning. You have this big fancy monument. A lot of money was put into that back in the day. Probably a monument to some rich white guy who started wars. Most of them are, you know. We can't get to this monument. The road here is a monument in itself to failed transport planning. So there's a lot of historical context about why this square in Madrid is the famous one, Plaza Mayor. But in the modern context of Madrid, it really is an amazing space because it is, unlike the rest of the city, totally car-free. And it's an amazing space for that alone. Some of the streets in Madrid are, as they always were, as they should be perhaps. And we're lucky at the moment because there's no cars. Oh! Enter the dragon. I tweeted kind of flippantly, as I do, last night that Madrid is basically asphalt with some buildings in between. That's how it feels here. We had to find a quiet spot to do this film. So we're in kind of this boulevardy park thing, away from the car traffic, because man, this is a noisy city. That's something we both have noticed since we arrived. There has been some political maneuvering. In November 2018, the mayor announced that the whole center of Madrid, 472 hectares, would be, well, kind of car-free. All gas-powered cars before 2000, diesel vehicles before 2006 would not be allowed to enter the city center. They're trying to reduce the NO2 emissions by 23% by 2020. I'm sitting here in January 2019, and nothing's happened yet. But this is the plan. It's a hard one. People are complaining like they do everywhere, pushback. If you look at the trips to the center of Madrid, 1.2 million are on public transport every day, 550,000 are on foot, and only about 230,000 are in cars. So it's really obvious that there are other transport options for the citizens of this city. You'll notice when I rattle off those numbers, no bikes. No. I've called Madrid for years the black hole of cycling in Europe. It's been a while since I've been here, but today, walking around with Lulu on camera and being driven around for my job, we counted about 30 bikes. On a weekday in a European capital, it is a shockingly low number. Oh, look at this, an invasive species here in Madrid, an actual cycle track, some space taken away from cars. It's only on one side of the street, so that doesn't make much sense. And you can see they're warning cyclists to watch out for the intersection, but not warning cars to watch out for cyclists. It's so far behind on many fronts when you compare it to cities around the world. So, bikes, man, there is a lot of work to be done. That is really the low-hanging fruit. Taking away this asphalt, putting some cycle tracks in. We've only seen one, really, and some crappy bike lanes, which mean absolutely nothing. This is where Madrid needs to go. Great plans, but man, you're forgetting the most obvious plan of all. Bicycle infrastructure network. Boom.